I like to think of setting as the element of fiction that sets up the rules of our world. So, setting, of course, is where and when something takes place. I want to break that down into three, what we're going to call levels, however. If we look at the physical setting, this is where it takes place. This is the stuff we can see and feel and touch. But saying that it takes place in the woods or that it takes place in a city isn't enough. We need to talk about the colors, the numbers, the shapes, the sizes of events. We have to take a look at all of that because that might lead to us developing a certain mood, or it might give us certain symbols that we're looking at. So the physical setting, we should see a lot of examples there. The temporal setting, think of T of temporal, stands for T of time, is our time. It is our year, it is our month, it is the season, it is the era, it might be the duration, it might be how long a story lasts. Not how long it takes you to read it, but whether the story takes place over 2 days or 2 years. So that is the temporal setting. And of course, that will change throughout the story, just like the physical setting changes. But our last piece is the most confusing, and this is our milieu, which is French. It means the social setting. This is not how characters interact socially. We cannot talk about character relationships with the milieu. We talk about relationships between groups, however. So milieu is how people live. So perhaps there's a milieu of racism, and because of how groups of people have treated each other, that is part of the milieu. But maybe the milieu also might include the languages spoken. Maybe we have a character who does not speak the same language as everybody else. And because of the milieu, the predominant language that's spoken, that character might have a conflict. So notice now we can talk about not only how setting might develop a mood in our physical and temporal setting, but we also might now have conflicts being developed because of the social setting. This includes their culture, our traditions, the technology available in a certain area. So if we picture Ben Franklin being dropped into our present day, hoodies and cars and cell phones and projectors would totally confuse him. That the fashions of that time, the technology is all part of our milieu. We can connect this to setting, but we have to label it as the milieu or the social setting. So when we're analyzing how setting is impacting a mood or how setting is helping develop a conflict, we want to be able to give descriptions of the physical setting, where it's located, the temporal setting, when it's taking place, and the social setting, how people are living. We want to be able to label these settings clearly to show our reader that we know what we're talking about, and also to help us differentiate between the different ways that setting can impact a character, the plot, conflicts, symbols, or even tone and mood.